Hello and welcome back to my channel, Cards by Melissa Minor. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make some easy mixed media shimmery backgrounds, and we're going to be using distressed mica stains. These are so fun. They just make your background so shimmery and sparkly, and they really spice up your cards. So before we get started, I do want to show you how I like to store my stains. So let me bring this in. I like to store these in the Totally Tiffany Stephanie box, I guess you call it, storage box. And the reason I like this is because I can store these upright. And then the Stephanie box also has these containers that come out. So I can store all of these by color, and then I can easily pull these out. So for example, let me set this to the side. This one, I have all of my greens in here. So I've got a bunch of the different green, distress oxide inks, and mica spray stains all in this nice little box, and I can keep them in here. And so let's see, 2, 4, 6. I can get about 7. I don't think I have more than 7 in a box. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 7 is about the max that you can put. So 7, 14, 20, 28 is what this will hold if you have these for the stains and sprays. If you have different brands, let's see, I think I have another brand in here as well, and it will hold those brands too. Most of these I think are all the Ranger brand, but I thought I had another one. Maybe I don't, but most of them, if you have the other brands, they will fit in here as well. These also hold paints. Oh, I have a mixed media gloss spray. It is a little tall. It's a little bit taller than these, but it will still fit in the box, and it still will close. And so I just think that this is perfect to hold these. So let's go ahead and get started on the technique. So for this technique, you want to bring in some old ink colors. And the reason I say old is because it uses quite a bit of ink. And so I have some old retired close to my heart inks, but this isn't to say you have to use close to my heart inks. If you have Stamps of Life inks, Stampin' Up, any inks that you have, you can use these. But they do use a lot of ink, and so if you have a re-inker, that's nice because you probably want to re-ink your ink pads. These are some old inks that are retired that I had in my closet that I don't use, and I was just going to get rid of anyway. And so this is a perfect technique, I think, to use up those old ink pads. So let me show you how you do this. So you want to pick out 3 colors in the same color family. So you want a light, a medium, and a dark. So I've picked out these 3 colors in the blue, and then in a green family, I've picked out these 3 colors. I've got topiary, olive, and clover meadow. And then I've done the same thing in the red family. I have holiday red, tulip, and cranberry. So I'll show you some different ones that I have made using these 3 colors, but today I'm really going to focus on making samples today with the blue. So what you want to do is you want to swipe your ink, and this is going to look like a hot mess to get started. So we're just going to, there's no rhyme or reason on how we're going to swipe these colors, but we're going to swipe some color down, and as you can see, we are going to make quite the mess. And so you do want to have your work surface covered. So then we're just going to go in with our next color and put that down. And then our third color. So you want it to look a little something like this. And then we want to take a paper towel and wipe up our work surface so that we do not get ink all over all of our projects. Okay, so now that we have our panel, the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to use our spray stain. And so for the blues today, I've chose to use the Juniper Berry. And when I spray, I like to spray in a box. And so I have taken a box, and let me bring this in, and I have just covered it with some aluminum foil, and then I have placed a paper towel in here, and that's just so that I don't make a mess everywhere. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, now with your spray stains, you hear that? They have like a paintball in there. So what they say to do is, and see this little, you can see in the top of the lid here how there's some ink. So in order to not have all that ink in the lid, what they say to do is to cover the top of your bottle with a paper towel before you shake it, because if you shake it with the lid on, the paint is going to go up into the top of the lid. So you can shake it vigorously once you have your top covered. And so you can see I do have ink now in the top of my paper towel, and that's okay. That's where we want it to go. So then we are just going to stand back and we are just going to spray. We're just going to add some spray to the white areas on our card. And I think that looks nice about like that. And so I don't know if the camera is really picking that up, all of that shimmer. Isn't that just wild how gorgeous that is? So I'm going to set this aside to dry. You could use a heat tool for that. Let me bring in a sample that I already have dry. So here's one that is already dry. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I've done the same thing in the reds and in the greens. So let me bring in a sample in the red and the green. And I've done the same technique by using the 3 different colors of ink that I shown earlier. Now for the red, I used the Yuletide spray. And here's the red. Look at this one. Isn't this gorgeous? I just love this. And now for the green, I have chosen to use the Frosty Mint. It was so hard to decide what colors to use. And I did the same thing, the swiping, and then look at that. Now this one I did go ahead and I have used one of my dotted rectangle dies and just cut the sides out. And that was only because when I was drying this, it got a little too close to the red and I had a little bit of red on there. So I got that off by just cutting that down. So these are my gorgeous samples. Now there's different things that you can do then with these samples. So again, these colors are Juniper Berry, Yuletide, and Frosty Mint. One of the things that you can do is you can bring in distressed texture paste. So since these already have ink on them, your texture paste, you can use this with a stencil, and then that is going to just have more of like an opaque finish. And so that's just really going to have like a clear finish on it. And so I really like that technique, so I want to show you that. And then the other thing that you can do is I've used the Stamps of Life powdered sugar ink through a stencil, and it looks gorgeous as well. So let me bring in some different items and we will get started and make a couple backgrounds. So the first technique that I want to do is I want to bring in a stencil, and I'm going to bring in my powdered sugar ink. And with this white, I like to keep my dauber here in a little baggie that I've purchased from Amazon because it does stay nice and inky. And so that just helps keep my area clean. So I like to use a little pixie spray on my stencil just to keep it covered. And the stencil that I'm going to be bringing in to work with today is a new stencil from the Stamps of Life. This is the Snowy stencil. And when I'm working with these, the Stamps of Life has their logo, and so that is the side I like to keep up. So I like to spray the back side of the stencil with my pixie spray, and that just holds it in place so that it doesn't move. So I'll just give that a nice press, and so that keeps it adhered to my project. And then I'm just going to pick up some of the ink here, and I'm just going to dab it onto my project. And I'm going to get really nice coverage. Just kind of dab it on until I get the whole stencil covered. Okay, I think I got that good. Let me pounce a couple areas. All right, so we got that. Let me peel this up so you can see. And look how gorgeous that is. Isn't that so pretty? I love the way this ink looks on this shimmery background. That gives you just a gorgeous sky background. So then you'll want to take this to the sink right away and just wash this with some dish soap and water. So I have 3 samples that I want to bring in. This one I already have let dry. This is using the ink. This one is using the Ranger Distress Paste in the Sparkle, this translucent. So I use the same stencil, and I just used a palette knife and brushed that on so you can see the difference. So it's just more of like a sheer look to it. And then this one, I used a little bit of the Media Gloss Spray, and I've just opened it up in my splatter box, and I've just splattered this on, not with the spray, but just with the nozzle. I've just tapped it on, flicking that on to give it like this snowy background. And then you can see I got a couple like big splatters. I tried to wipe it up here, so I have a little boo-boo, but that's okay. I'm going to cover that up. And then I did go ahead and use some embossing powder and some white embossing powder, and I embossed a sentiment on this one. So I just wanted you to see the difference in the 3 different panels by using that same technique with the blue inks and with the Juniper Berry Mica Spray Stain, how you can get 3 different looks but the same technique. So I want to apply that technique on some cards. So let me show you some cards that I've made with this technique. All right, so these are the 3 cards that I've made with those backgrounds that I've just shown you. You can see this first one. This is the one that I used with the Media Gloss Spray. So this was just more of the simple background, and then I heat embossed a sentiment on the back, skating into the season of joy. And then for this next one, this is one with the background that I used the stencil and the powdered sugar white ink. So you can see the difference on that one. Let me hold these up. And then this next one, I used the Distressed Texture Paste in the Sparkle. And you can see the difference on that one. Now, if you're noticing these cute stamps that I'm using, let me show you those. So the stamp set that I'm using today, there's a couple of them. Let me bring these in. This is actually the stamp of the month from the Stamps of Life. So they have a couple different clubs. This is the Stamp and Die Hard Club. And this month it is called Skating into Winter. And if you're interested in joining any of the Stamps of Life clubs, you'll need to check out the description box below. I do have an affiliate link down there, and by using my link, you will receive 500 bonus points that you can spend in the Stamps of Life store, and then you'll also receive a free gift with your first shipment. You can also use my code MelissaM, and that lets them know that I referred you. But this is so cute. It's got this little fox and this little bunny skater. And so these are the sets that I use. These are the dies on the back. And then they have this add-on set that I used, and this is called More Skaters to Stamp. And then these are the dies. And then I'm also brought in this, and I believe this is called Pond. I may have that, it maybe be called Tree and Pond. And so that's where this little pond came from. And then I've also used this set. This is called Phrases for Skaters. And I've also used, this is more of just a staple. This is, I believe, called Borders. And that's where I got this snowy background. And then another set that I used is called the A2 Decal Edge Card Die Set. And so if you'll notice, like on this one, the card base is that decal edge. And so we're going to make a couple cards today. And so let me go ahead and move these to the side, and we're going to put one of these together. And I think we're going to make it similar to this one, but with some different colors. So I went ahead and cut out a purple. This is using the grape cardstock from the Stamps of Life. And I am going to use something similar to this. I have stamped out the sentiment, sending you winter cheer, and we're going to use the background that we created. And this is using the Media Gloss Spray. And then, oh, let me show you how I made the pond. So I have a pond already created with the sparkle, but let me show you how I make that pond. So let me get one, I have one cut out here, but I do want to show you how to do that. So let me bring in a paper towel to cover my work surface. This is so easy. So what you want to do is, for this top layer of the pond, you are going to take a paintbrush and your pops of color. This is the pops of color. I got this from scrapbook.com, and this is called Glitter Snowflake. And I just like to run a thin layer across my pond like that. And then I just take my paintbrush and I just spread it out. Now I've also mixed it with water, but I found that I really like the look better if I just paint it across. And so let me hold this up. Don't know if the camera is really picking up the sparkle. So then I'll set this one aside to dry. Okay, I do have one already made up. Here it is. And so let me see if you can see that. And the camera might not be picking that up, but there is some sparkle on the pond. Okay, so I have the pond. And then what I have done is I have taken the border die and a piece of my powdered sugar white cardstock, and I cut a base layer and with the decal edge, and I've just used the top layer here to give me a snowy hill. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my snowy hill to my card base. Oh my, let's see. I just refilled my glue this morning. Let's see. And I'm just going to line this up. Everything should line up perfectly because it was cut with the same die. So I have that lined up. And then I'm going to want to set my pond on here. And let me get that on there. my pond. And then I want to get my little skaters. So I've got a cute little fox, and I've got a cute little rabbit and a penguin. And I do want to use some foam tape to add a little dimension. And I also want to add some trees. So I did cut out some trees using that tree die. So let me get some trees from my little box over here. So I think I want to add the trees first. And I didn't put glue when I was, let me move these to this side. I didn't put glue all the way to this edge so that I had a little wiggle room to add those. Another one back there. I just think these little skaters are so cute. I love this set this month. And then maybe another one right here. I don't want it to interfere with my sentiment. There. And now I can add more glue along the edge and get that adhered down. Perfect. Okay, so now we just need to add some little foam tape to the back of our little skaters so that they stay popped up. And I want to put a generous amount, and maybe just a little bit more on his head. Okay, and we'll peel this up. And with these skaters, you can like turn them to the side. I think this one needs to be like, he's kind of balancing on one foot. I like that idea. And then we can put our little penguin. Let me make sure I have enough room. Yep. I got these a little close. I think they're all gonna fit. Oh, this is so cute. So let me go ahead and get our penguin down. Put another little piece right on his little ice skate. We'll get him down. I've got pieces everywhere. And then we've got the little rabbit. Okay. You'll have to let me know in the comment section which background is your favorite. Did you like the one with just the more similar, or the plain one with just the paint on the background, the splatters? Or did you like the background with the ink? Or did you like the background with the texture paste? All right, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add this card base. And I think I'm actually going to use my art glitter glue for this one. So let me add some glue. This is so cute. And I really like it with the purple. Now I could have trimmed this little lake down. It hangs off just a hair, but I'm not worried about that. I think it looks cute. This one you can see I did trim that down. But I like it kind of, I think, with leaving it. Okay, so those are these two cards. And I have one more card that I want to make with you today. Let me hold these up. And you can see on this one I did add some epoxy dots here. So for this last card, and using this beautiful red background, I want to make a card with it. And so the Stamps of Life does have one more item that came out in this release. It was called a medallion background. And so I thought that it would be pretty to add that medallion background over this really pretty red sparkle background that we created, and then add that to a card base. So let me get a card base, and we'll just add all of this. And then what I was thinking is I would add this lake, the little pond, on here. And then I've got one of the bears. So I thought he would maybe be ice skating. We'd add a bear. And then I've stamped one of the sentiments, and I've used one of the Decal Edge rectangle dies and cut this out. And then I went around the edges with a little bit of black ink. And this says, "May your winter be filled with love and laughter." And I thought that that would look really cute up there. Let me bring in the other cards that we made today, and you'll have to leave me a comment down below on which one was your favorite. All right, so I hope you have learned something new. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give it a like. If so, if you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.